Jacob found the conversation with Susan quite disturbing and tried to shrug it off. He tried to concentrate on his cultivation instead of the dangers lurking on the North Atlantic Dragon clan. He shut his eyes and cultivated in Susan's office for hours until the vibration of his phone disturbed him at 7 o'clock sharp. "Where are you, Jacob? Come for dinner at the barbecue restaurant. I'm paying." Sam cried out in excitement over the phone. "I think I'll pass. There's something else I need to do," Jacob said calmly. "What's more important than me being selected in the basketball team?" Sam asked aggressively. He was still clearly high on the endorphins from before. "It's just something really important. I'm sorry," Jacob said apologetically. Sam tried to convince him, but Jacob still said no, and dejectedly, Sam let it go. "Time's up. I'm out." Jacob stood up and said to Susan, after he realized it was already 7 o'clock. "Okay." Susan nodded. Seeing that Susan didn't have anything else to say, Jacob left her office and took the bus to Sophie's place. Today was the day she got her midterm results.
Being the person who had been tutoring her and also someone who was going to marry her in the near future, Jacob's complete attention was only on her.
He wanted to know her score as soon as possible. Jacob knew that the dinner with Sam wouldn't end all that early, so he chose to meet Sophie instead of his friends. The front door was half open for Jacob when he got there. He walked in and saw Helen putting several dishes on the dining table. "Hi," Jacob greeted her. "Jacob, you are here. Drakon went to pick Soph up from her friend's place, and they should be back soon as well." Helen smiled lightly and said. Jacob hesitated a bit, but after a few minutes, he asked, "Helen, it is Soph's birthday next month, right?" "Yes. I thought she would tell you about it. Why? Are you planning a gift for her?" Helen asked casually as she laid out the plates on the table. "Will there be a lot of people that day? Is the South Atlantic clan coming as well? Aren't the North Atlantic and South Atlantic not getting along?" Jacob asked a row of questions together. "Did Susan tell you all this?" Helen laughed. "There's no need to worry. You are already a part of our clan, and we sure won't let anyone hurt you." Helen lightly mussed his hair to comfort him, as she always did with Soph. When she still saw a worried look on Jacob's face, she said, "Don't overthink. Just act normal. If anything happens, Drakon and I will take care of it." "Okay," Jacob nodded. After Helen's comforting words, there wasn't much that he could say. It seemed like there were indeed some conflicts between the two clans. However, Helen and Drakon didn't want Sophie and him to take on any pressure just yet. After some time, the main door of the house opened and Sophie entered with Drakon following behind her. She smiled as soon as she saw Jacob in the room. A little blush also appeared on her face as she recalled their conversation from last night. "Everyone go wash your hands and let's have dinner," Helen said to them. After the four of them had sat down at the table, Helen asked Jacob how his grandma was doing back home. Then, she asked if the tutoring for Sophie got in the way of his own studies. She was acting sweetly, as she always did, and seemed to have forgotten about how she scolded them just this morning. Jacob answered each question politely, whereas Sophie was silent the whole time and was only focusing on her food. Helen then turned to Drakon and asked him about the invitations to Soph's birthday party. "The last time I went back to the Dragon Palace, I had sorted out the list and asked General Arthur to send out the invitations. So far, the South Pacific, the East Arctic, and the South Atlantic are all attending. A few river dragon kings, who are located further away, will send their congratulatory gifts. Several lake dragon kings will show up as well," Drakon said. "How many people from the South Atlantic are coming?" Helen asked. "About 50 of them, and their great master will be coming in person too," Drakon said as he picked up some vegetables with his spoon. "Hasn't he been living in isolation for the last 100 years for cultivation? Why is he attending?" Helen asked. "Because of the incident," Drakon said in disdain. Helen slightly frowned and shook her head. At least we don't have to be afraid of him because Kenneth is going to be there, she said.
That's true. But the biggest problem is not their great master. It's the inspectors from different regions. Susan has a good relationship with us, and she has never caused any trouble for the North Atlantic. But it's hard to say if the other inspectors will spare us, Drakon said seriously.
Helen was about to say something, but pointed at the dishes when she realized Jacob was listening attentively. Let's talk about it later, she said. Jacob thought to himself, Sophie's birthday is going to be a huge event. It looks like many powerful dragons are going to be present, and it might cause trouble.
Oh, I met Soph's class advisor when I picked her up from school earlier today, Drakon said all of a sudden.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. How was it? Soph's midterm results should be out, right?
Helen was suddenly excited. It's out, but her class advisor didn't tell me about it. She said that she wanted to meet with all the parents separately tomorrow evening to discuss all the students' progress since they're in their senior year now, Drakon said.
While her parents were discussing her midterms, Sophie was eating with her head down, pretending she didn't hear them at all. Seeing this, Jacob assumed that she did terribly on her exams. Tomorrow evening? That is such short notice. I have been working on a design lately and won't be able to make time for it tomorrow. Can you go instead? Helen asked.
I know you are busy these days, but I am arranging everything for Soph's birthday, and I have to pay a visit to an elder from the deep forest. You know how some of them wouldn't come if I didn't go with the invitation myself. Once I'm there, he will insist on playing chess and will go on chatting with me. I don't even know when I'll be able to get back, Drakon replied.
Helen sighed. Tomorrow is the deadline for submitting the blueprint for the community center project, and I really want to get the bid. There are only 5 architectural design studios from all over the state that got the opportunity to bid for it. You guys don't have to go. It's not that important, Sophie said as she continued looking down. Seeing their daughter feel neglected, Helen and Drakon looked at each other helplessly. Just when Helen was about to give up her plan to bid for the design, Jacob said, I could go on your behalf. Drakon and Helen looked at Jacob at the same time. Then they looked at each other and nodded thoughtfully. That's good. I think since you've been helping Soph with her studies, it'll actually be nice if you're there. Helen nodded at Jacob and said, Please go on our behalf this time, Jacob.
The meeting is at 5 in the evening tomorrow. Please don't be late, Drakon said.
Jacob suddenly thought of Sophie's Uncle Kenneth and how irritated he was the last time Jacob went to Sophie's school. But then he remembered that man's temper. It would be a miracle for him not to offend the teachers. Drakon would not let him go to the meeting at all. He would explode in rage if the teachers said something even remotely bad about Sophie, and he could easily destroy the school in a snap. After the matter was settled, they chatted for a little while before getting up. Drakon and Helen stayed downstairs to discuss a few more things, while Jacob followed Soph upstairs to get started with her tutoring. They settled on her desk to study. He took the books out and said, We will continue focusing on English today. Sophie rested her arms on the desk and her chin on her hand. Her eyes fell on something on Jacob's side and got transfixed at the spot. The lesson for today is... Jacob opened his book and started the lesson. However, Sophie stood up all of a sudden and ran out of the room. What is this girl doing? She is so hard to understand sometimes. Jacob was confused by her behavior. Sophie rushed back into the room just when Jacob was about to go after her. She almost ran into his arms. What are you doing? Jacob asked as he sat back down at the desk after she came back. Here, She handed something to Jacob. Jacob realized that she had handed him a Band-Aid. He asked in confusion, "What are you giving me this for?" "For your wound," Sophie said, pointing at his elbow. Jacob lifted his arm but didn't see the injury. He touched where he couldn't see with his right hand and felt the pain. "I didn't even know that I was injured," Jacob thought. "Not sure if I got injured during rock climbing or got scratched while I was playing basketball today." He looked down at the Band-Aid on the desk and said to Sophie with a smile, "Thanks." Sophie smiled back at him and ripped open the Band-Aid to help him put it on the wound. Jacob was moved by the fact that Sophie cared for him so much now. She ran to get first aid as soon as she saw the wound. Then, she also helped him put it in the right spot, without even having to ask her.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.